Jumbo friends, come on in, welcome aboard. Slide all the way to the left-hand side. Make room for everyone joining us out here today. This is a great time. If we have any bags, anything like that, make sure we store them at our feet. It gets a little extra bumpy out there sometimes. Don't want you to drop anything while we're out there on our journey. Alrighty friends, looks like we're ready to go. So if you are on that right hand side, watch your hands, arms, feet, and legs, doors will be set closed. And just like that, we're ready to go see some animals. We're going to say Asante Sana, which does mean thank you. Asante Sana Warden. Now something you also like to see out here is Twin Day, which means let's go. Well, Jumbo friend, Jumbo means hello, so Jumbo. That's when you say Jumbo, Jumbo. Jumbo friends, my name is Carolyn, that's Carolyn with a K. I am going to be your safari guide today. A few safety things for heading out there. Please make sure we keep all hands, arms, feet, and legs inside of the truck at all times for you. And please make sure we are always remaining seated. That does include my little ones. If they're in the seat next to you, please make sure they stay seated the entire time. Or if they're on your lap, please make sure they stay on that lap and only that lap. Thumbs up, sound good? Yeah? Awesome. Okay, I got 2 thumbs up. I'll take it. Now we're going to wait for the warden to give us the all clear to head on it. And it looks like we're good to go. We're going to start our journey out here in the Little Ituri Forest. Ituri does mean little, so it's the little forest, but it's not so small. There's a lot of different friends out here that like to say hello, so make sure you keep a really close eye out. You never know who we'll see. I can't guarantee we'll see every single friend that you might be hoping to see out here because it is a little hot, so it does go a little bit slow out here, but we're going to try our best. So make sure you keep your head on a swivel on both sides. Now on the right, that darker brown colored friend back there with some party pants on is the Okapi. Those party pants look an awful lot like zebra stripes, but they're actually the closest known living relative to the giraffe. Just make sure we are fully seated for me, friends. Fully seated the entire time. Thank you. Now the Okapi, for the longest time, the Eastern world had no clue they were a real friend. We thought they were a mythical creature like the unicorn. But in 1901, we laid eyes on them for ourselves, realized how cool they are, and now they hang out here with us as well. Now the reason they're a close relative to the giraffe is because they have the exact same skull structure and a 16-inch long tongue. For reference, my adult friends on board, from the tip of your elbow to your longest finger, that's how long their tongue could be. Now really close on this left-hand side, there's a black and white feathered friend. This is a saddle-billed stork. The saddle-billed stork has a yellow part on their bill. It looks like a saddle you would ride a horse with, hence where they get their name from. Their wingspan is about 9 feet wide, which is roughly the width of the canopy above you. Now we usually only ever see 1 or 2 saddle-billed storks out here. That's because they do in fact mate for life. So you're only ever going to see 1 male and 1 female. The way we tell the difference is because the female will have a brighter yellow color to her eyes, while the male will have a darker brown color. If you keep looking to the left, we're going to see 2 really reclusive friends, which simply means they like their alone time, like their personal space. They're going to be some black rhinos. The black rhino, believe it or not, is the smaller of the 2 that live out here, weighing around 1,500 pounds up to 3,000. That's actually very small. They have something called a prehensile mouth, means that their upper lip makes more of a triangular shape, allowing them to grasp on the leaves and pull them down to eat a little bit easier throughout the day. Very similar to how you might use your fingers to grab a hold of things. Looks like we might have a little bit of a traffic jam up ahead, so we're going to hang tight right here for just a moment, then we'll be on our way here in a moment. See that black rhino a little bit easier now on that left hand side. Now the reason they're more reclusive is because they're more of a solitary friend. They don't really like to be in groups. They're not too social. So you usually see about 2 out here in their own, all both gonna have their own individual space. But with that, we're gonna keep looking to the left. I'm seeing some roommates up ahead. You might already notice some burnt orange colored friends off in the distance on the left. Those are bongos up ahead. Now the bongos have horns that go towards their back, which allows them to go through the forest without hitting any trees or leaves. So they tend to not be seen or heard unless they would like to be. So they get a pretty cool nickname as the ghost of the forest. They're also hanging out with a few lighter tan colored friends that have really large ears. Those are the greater kudu. The fact that the kudu have no horns simply just means that they are female. There's only female greater kudu out here on the reserve. Now we're going to head on towards the Safi River. The Safi River is home to a lot of semi-aquatic friends like to hang out on both land and in water, so make sure you're looking at both. We're going to see water on the right-hand side to begin, and then we'll see water on the left as well, so do not worry. Everybody's going to get a great view. We're going to be starting out for looking for a pod on the right-hand side, which is what a group of pink-backed pelicans are called. But they're actually not that pink. They're going to be on that right-hand side on the island down there. They have a lighter gray color because they haven't quite hit their mating season yet this year. But once they do, their back feathers as well as their bill will turn incredibly pink, almost like they're blushing. Perfect for that mating season. Now you might be thinking of the hippo, something like that. We're going to try and find some Nile hippopotamus on the left here in a moment. Now with the Nile hippopotamus, they can hold their breath for up to 8 minutes long with their ears flat on their backs. They're going to dive way deep down underwater, and they're actually going to walk on the floor below them rather than swim. If they were to try and swim all day, they would run out of energy very quick into the day. So they're going to walk on the floor below them to get from point A to point B just a little bit smoother. See in the back of one up ahead on the left, you might notice by those rocks. Oh, there's one right there on the left, just past that island. Now, the Nile hippopotamus is very large and so is their mouth, but they are herbivores and their favorite snack is watermelon out here. A group of them out here is going to be called a bloat. That's why you might hear them say a bloat of hippos. Now all of their main features are on the tops of their heads, like their eyes, ears, and nose. So fun fact, when they do hold their breath and dive underwater, they can actually take a nap down there. Their body is subconsciously going to come up, grab a breath when that 8 minutes is over, and go right back down. And they're going to have no clue they even did it. They're going to stay asleep the entire time. If you keep looking to the left, you're going to see that Nile crocodile down there. From the tip of their tail to the tip of their mouth, they're going to be about 16 feet long. They also have a very large mouth for their size. Something interesting they're going to do is sit there with their mouth completely open for hours at a time, allowing all possible excess heat to release from their body, just so that they can stay as cool as we do during the summer. Now they might make you a little bit nervous when they're actually in front of the nursery. When their baby's getting ready to swallow, they're going to pop that egg inside their mouth and roll it around against their teeth. It's going to allow that egg to start to softly crack so that baby doesn't have to try too terribly hard to enter the world when they are ready to do so. Now we're going to be heading into the savannah. The savannah is home to a lot of fan favorites, but also some you may not recognize. So to keep track of what you have and haven't seen out here, if you look above your head on the canopy of the truck, you're going to see an animal spotting guide. That has every single animal we could possibly ever see out here. And I can't promise we'll see every one of those friends, because like I said, it's pretty hot for them out here right now. But I'll be real, that spotting guide also hasn't been updated since before I was born. Yeah. But that's okay. If you're wanting pictures today, make sure you have that camera or phone ready to go. There's a lot of friends out here that are going to be walking around. They're not going to model for us, and I can't stop for every single one of these friends. So make sure you're ready to go. Now this is Overlook. Overlook gives us quite the sneak peek at all the different friends we might be able to find out here. Not seeing too much right now, but I am seeing quite a lot of grass. That's really important. That's why there's a lot of animals out here are grazers for their food. Means they're going to run their mouth across the ground like their own personal shovel to get all the good nutrients from down below, leaving some really high up trees for some really tall friends. On the distance on the right, you might see that springbok back there. They're really tiny. They're the smallest antelope out here on the reserve. The springbok get their name because they can spring up into the air 6 feet high and 13 feet out. And they can run at speeds of up to 55 miles per hour. They're incredibly athletic. They actually give the cheetah a little bit of a run for their money with how fast they can go. Now some of my favorite friends, don't tell the owners. On the left, we're going to pass by this den where there's going to be some African painted dogs back there. I like to call them the s'mores colored friends of the reserve because they have a toasted tan, darker brown, and white coat to them. The African painted dogs are a very close relative to a dog you may have at home, but they only have 4 toes per paw instead of 5. And just like a human's fingerprint, no 2 of their coats are the same. They're going to stay asleep like you're seeing them right now a majority of the day, and they're going to wake up at night to go hunting. They have one of the most successful hunting rates out of all the friends out here on the reserve, so they are not going to stray from their routine for their meal. If you keep looking to the left, you're going to see some sable antelopes back there as well, with those horns going towards their back. The sable antelopes are the emblem for the Harambe Wildlife Reserve, because when they're in fight or flight mode, they're always going to stay and fight for their families, just like how we will always fight for these animals. You might know some pretty tall friends. These are going to be Maasai giraffes. We're going to stop here in just a moment to get a pretty good look at them. We're able to see the Maasai giraffes from so far away because they're going to stand 16 to 20 feet tall. Plus they are that 16 feet more likely they are female, plus they are that 20 feet more likely they are male. Now they have more of a jagged puzzle piece look to their spots. It's incredibly unique to them and only them, very much like a human's fingerprint, like those painted dogs that we saw. That's how we're able to tell Maasai giraffes from other giraffes you may have seen before. They have more of a circular structure to their spots. You're going to notice them using their tongue to get all their food. They have an 18-inch long tongue that they're going to wrap around leaves and pull them down to eat throughout the day. Now their neck is very long. They're going to use it to either reach really high up trees or they're going to bend it down to the ground to get some bushes. Their neck is around 6 feet long, but they have just as many bones as we have in our neck, which is only 7. A group of them, ironically, like we have seen today, is in fact going to be called a tower as well. Now they have some other friends up ahead that you're going to know probably right off the bat as well. They do have black and white stripes. These are going to be some Hartman's Mountain zebras on the left, it looks like. Now the Hartman's Mountain zebra is a group of them like we're seeing. It's called a dazzle. A lot of people think it's because when they run in a group, their stripes collide to make a dazzling effect on the eye. The way we're able to tell the Hartman's Mountain zebras from others is because their stripes don't wrap fully around their belly, and instead they have one big black stripe across the bottom like a zipper. They also have those really thick stripes on their back legs. Now, way off in the distance in front of us, in front of the truck, if you look up at the top of the hill, you're going to see some lighter gray colored friends laying down. Those are wildebeest back there. Now, the wildebeest are one of the largest migrating groups in the world, so we tend to see quite a few when we do see them. But additionally, on the right, you're going to see the newest and shortest addition to the Maasai giraffe family, sitting down back there. He's been out here for about 12 weeks now. He's about 7.5 feet tall, which means he's already grown about 1.5 feet. But he still has around 14 feet to grow because that is a little boy back there. So he could be around 20 feet tall like his dad when fully grown. He's a couple days short of his 6-month birthday, but he's getting really close. He is very, very social. He's good friends with the wildebeest, and he likes to play tag with the zebras. If you keep looking to the right, once we get past these trees in the clearing, you'll see some really large horns coming from that Ankole cattle back there. From the tip of one horn to the other, their horns are going to be about 6 to 7 feet wide. A lot of people think that those horns are going to weigh them down, but they're actually incredibly hollow. The only thing inside them are blood vessels that are going to be in a honeycomb structure that help them pump blood through their body to stay cool during the summer. So that means their horns usually are not going to weigh more than 20 pounds. Now, the Ankole cattle are one of 2 domesticated animals out here on the reserve. They were domesticated by the Watusi tribe. Now, they were not domesticated for farm or agriculture or anything like that, but they were solely domesticated to be a sign of beauty and wealth for the tribe. The more Ankole cattle you had in their eyes, the more wealthy you were. Now, we have entered elephant country. Not seeing too many signs of them just yet. They do have very sensitive skin, but if you look to the left, you're going to see a mandrill. That mandrill is what Rafiki is from The Lion King. They have those bright colors on their face and bottom that get exponentially brighter the more excited they get. But if you look to the right, you might get a sneak peek at an African elephant back there as well. Now, you might notice that they have a lot of dirt and mud on their back. That's their version of sunscreen. They're going to throw dirt and mud with their trunk onto their back to protect that sensitive skin of theirs. They don't have SPF out here, so they've got to get pretty creative. We usually only see about 1 or 2 hanging out over in this area because they are the males. The males are incredibly dominant. They really don't like to share their space a whole lot. So this is their own little man cave. But we're going to head up to an area where the ladies tend to hang out. The ladies are going to stay together for their entire lifetime. And they're always going to be led by the oldest and wisest female African elephant. It's a little bit of a different story with the males though. They're going to travel solo once they hit maturity. But if they do travel in a group, it's no more than 8 or 10. And they're all going to be males as well. He tends to be known as the bachelor herd. Now, with how large they are, they're obviously going to eat quite a lot of food a day. They eat roughly around 300 pounds of food a day. So they've got to eat their version of fruits and veggies. We're going to start to see some red clay here in a moment. It's exactly what you think it is. It is clay that is red, but to them it means a little bit more. Red clay has a lot of vital minerals inside of it. It's going to be their version of taking vitamins every day. It's going to keep them happy and healthy. If you look to the right, just past this bridge, you'll see some tusk marks as well, but they also have teeth to sharpen those tusks of theirs. Unless they did quite the midnight snack. I do believe I saw the trunk of a female African elephant a little bit farther off in the distance. So we're going to make our way a little bit closer towards elephant waters. Now their trunk is very important. Their trunk has more muscles inside of it than we have in our entire body. They're going to use it to eat, drink water, make that sunscreen that we were talking about earlier. Additionally, they're also going to use their very powerful ears to their advantage. Their ears are going to pump back and forth against their back as their own personal fan. They have blood vessels running through their ears that allow them to circulate that air for themselves, very much like how we fan ourselves with our hands sometimes. Now their ears are one of many different things that signify that they're the African elephants rather than others, because their ears are going to be very, very large and sometimes make the shape of the continent of Africa. And like I said, we're going to get a little bit closer towards elephant waters, and we might get a better look at them here in just a moment. Now with the females are going to come the baby of the herd. I will say the baby of the herd right now. She's a little bit shy. Just not too sure if I'll be able to see her today. That's okay. Gonna get a great look at those females on the left. Now with elephant waters, a lot of people think that they drink water through their trunk, but they actually don't. They're gonna suck the water up through their trunk and spray it into their mouth like their own personal hose. But in the meantime, if you look to the right, you're going to see those wildebeest a little bit easier, the lighter gray color friends. You might even see a springbok or two back there. They are really tiny. Now the wildebeest, a lot of people also know them by the name Gnu, spelled G-N-U. Cows like to go moo, wildebeest like to go new. It's simply just a sound they like to make. It sounds a lot like a crunching sound, but usually said in a sequence of two. Now these elephant waters and many others out here are natural water sources we've got to make sure we're taking care of. Best way to do that is going to be by reducing the amount of microplastics we use every day. A really simple way is going to be by using a reusable water bottle. If we all work together, we're going to help by a landslide with keeping these clean. You might have already noticed those greater flamingos on the left. The greater flamingos get their name because they are the largest flamingo species in the world, but they're also the lightest pink color out of all flamingos. They're going to get that color of theirs from a lot of different foods they eat, like brine, shrimp, and algae, among others, because those foods have beta-carotene inside them. They're going to come out a little bit of a lighter gray color, very fuzzy, when they're first hatched out of their eggs. And it can take up to 2 years for them to get that pink color of theirs. A group of them is one of my favorite names. It's pretty cool. Your mom's called a flamboyance. Now you've probably noticed a little bit of scenery change. We have entered big cat territory. And it looks like we're going to be greeted by the white rhinos to begin our journey. Now the white rhinos are eating right now. If you take a look at their mouth, you're going to notice how wide it is, more of a rectangular shape. Believe it or not, that's actually where they get their name from. Their name in Afrikaans is white rhinos because white translates to wide for that wide set mouth of theirs. But white got mistaken for white in English, and we do call them the white rhinos, even though they are a lighter gray color. You probably noticed a few more in that clearing back there on the right. That's because they're very social. They're going to be in big groups most of the time. A group of them is called a crash. A lot of people think it's because they like to spar with each other to show their dominance, but we don't fully know why they're called a crash. Now off in the distance on the left, I'm seeing the fastest land animal in the world back there lounging around. It's going to be the cheetahs. The cheetah is the fastest land animal in the world because it can go 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3 seconds. Now with their great speeds come great responsibility. They can't go 60 miles per hour for a long time. They would run out of gas. So in order to stop themselves whenever they need to take a break or anything like that, they have something called semi-retractable claws. Their claws never go fully into their paws. It's almost as if they're wearing soccer cleats all day. It's going to allow them to stop whenever they need to take a break, get some food, all the things. Now you all might wear sunglasses when it's really bright outside. I do too, because it's just going to help us see a little bit better. Well, they obviously don't have sunglasses out here, but they have something built in that helps them with that as well. They have black spots directly under their eyes that make more of a teardrop shape, so that when that sun does beam down, it's actually going to soak up all that sun into those spots, so they're going to have no change in their eyesight. It's going to give them a little bit of an advantage over some other friends that might be out and about throughout the day as they are. Now these are Kopi Rocks on the left. This is where the big cats like to hang out. You're probably wondering, why are the cheetahs not up here? That's because the cheetah is actually a cat and not a big cat. They chirp and purr like a cat you may have at home rather than roar like a lion or a tiger over in Asia. Now, it is pretty hot for those big cats right now. But in the meantime, on the right, you're going to notice a couple more of those white rhinos back there. You're also going to notice that water buck with that shaggy coat on the right. And then maybe even the largest land bird in the world back there. Those are the ostriches hanging out by that wild green Chevy. Now, the ostrich is the largest land bird in the world because they cannot fly, but they can run. And their strides can be incredibly large, up to 15 feet. We're going to get a look at that water buck again here in a moment. I will say the water buck do get their name because of water. They're going to live near an incredibly large water source. They're going to drink way more water than the average antelope does. So they're one of the only antelopes that doesn't migrate because they already live near exactly what they need. Going to see that water buck again on the right here in a moment. I will say if you're able to get a really good look at their nose, not too sure, it looks like they might have their back to us, you'll notice that their nose actually makes a heart shape. Additionally, that shaggy coat comes from an oil that secretes from their skin that allows their hair to grow so long and luscious. And you'll get another great look at the ostrich and those white rhinos back there. Now, that ostrich has a lighter gray color to their feathers, indicating that they are female. I do believe I spotted their eggs up ahead. But with those white rhinos, if you look really close, you'll notice their ears twitching right now. That's because they have amazing hearing to make up for their not so great eyesight. So there's a really good chance back there they're able to hear us from over here. I mentioned those ostrich eggs a moment ago on the right, just past these trees on the ground right there. Those are the ostrich eggs. There's a total of 6 of them out here on the reserve. They're going to weigh about 3 pounds apiece. The average human can actually stand on them without leaving a single crack because of how thick that shell is. But with that, we're going to head on towards the warden's post. The warden's been on vacation, so I have been checking on the house for him. But I got bored. Yeah. So I took you all out there instead, and I left some furry friends in charge, so we're going to see what they're up to today. Now, these furry friends, I like to say, are tiny but mighty because they are fully grown. They're just pretty small. As we come around, you're going to start to see some of the Nigerian dwarf goats. The Nigerian dwarf goats haven't always lived out here, but the warden took them in, gave them food, shelter, and water, and in return they give us all their sweet milk for dairy products. Now, with their size, they have amazing balance. They're going to use it to their advantage for climbing. They tend to climb on top of the warden's house and car in their free time. Now, you all might shake hands or fist bump to say hello to each other. Well, they do their own version where they actually jump up in the air and knock their noggins together. That's going to be how they say, hi, how you doing, all thanks. Now, this does mean we're going to be heading out of the reserve and back towards Animal Kingdom, which means it's your time to shine. If you took pictures today, make sure you share those with family and friends, post them on social media. There's a lot of friends out there that don't really get credit where credit is due, and the best way to help with conservation is by having a conversation. Additionally, there's quite a few more opportunities to see these friends out there in the village today. I will say you all get quite the VIP exit today. Spoiler alert, it is where I picked you up. But the good thing about it is when you go down that ramp to exit, you're already going to be on the Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail. That walking trail is about 15 to 20 minutes long, but you can take however long you want to up there. And it's also full of wheelchair and stroller accessible. Up there, there's going to be some gorillas, naked mole rats, meerkats, those hippos, red bengals in their pools if you take the best look at them, and maybe even a zebra or a poppy. Additionally, if you exit and go to the right, you're going to be back towards the village where you might see the Wildlife Express train station. That train goes out every 5 minutes until 4:30 today. That train is going to take you up to Rafiki's Planet Watch. In the meantime, on your little joyride on the train, you're going to pass by some backstage areas. A lot of animal barns really like to take great care of these friends, so you get a little bit of a behind-the-scenes look. Rafiki's Planet Watch has a lot of fun things in store for the whole family. There's going to be the affection section where you can actually pet some of those goats that we saw. There's also some sheep, some cattle, and a pig or two that really like to have their belly scratched. Additionally, up there is a drawing experience where you can learn step-by-step ways on how to draw some pretty iconic Disney characters. And then last but not least, there's the veterinary area where they take amazing care of these friends. Now, I will say those are both really great spots to get some Wilderness Explorer badges out there. If you're doing those, you're going to want to know the code name for this truck as well. This truck is the Simba 1, Simba like the lion, S-I-M-B-A, and the number 1. You'll be able to get your safari badge up there as well. Now here in just a moment, we're going to head on through back up to our special VIP dock. But in the meantime, I know it's been a little bit bumpy, so make sure you check the floor for all those personal belongings for me. Hats, phones, keys, wallets, purses, bags, all the things. Alrighty, friends. Now, additionally, I will say I know a lot of the opportunities to see these friends is outside, and it can get really hot out there. So a great opportunity where you can get a little bit of AC for a minute is going to be this amazing show called the Festival of the Lion King. That show happens for 30 minutes every hour on the hour. It's a great show to hear a lot of those iconic Lion King songs that you might be thinking about. Additionally, there's going to be some trapeze artists, acrobatics, all kinds of different things up there. It's a great show for the whole family. A lot of crowd interaction with those little ones and the adults. Now, the fun does not just end out here in Africa. If you happen to trek over to Asia, they have a walking trail as well called the Maharaja Jungle Trek. Up there, you can see some reptiles, maybe even a tiger or two, or a baby one that you might know about named Boxo. He is getting pretty big. His paws are still about the size of his face, but he is a growing boy. So make sure you go see him while he's still pretty small. And then, of course, there are going to be all those spots for some thrill seekers. Additionally, over in Asia, there is Expedition Everest, where you can go find that Yeti. It's a pretty fun roller coaster. Or you can go over to Dino Land. Now, Dino Land will be going extinct at the end of the year, so make sure you go ride Dinosaur before it closes. But I will say over there, if you're heading that way from Asia, you'll see a blueprint along the wall where they actually have some pretty cool things that are going to be coming into that area in place of it, and they look really fun. There's a lot of ideas with Encanto and an Indiana Jones ride. And then last but not least, there's of course going to be Pandora. If you head over to Pandora, you're able to go right on the back of that Banshee over at Flight of Passage. There's also going to be Navi River Journey. It's a great boat ride for the whole family. And then, of course, there's always going to be a bunch of great food options out there in the park. On top of food, you also want to make sure you're staying hydrated out there, my friends. It gets really, really hot. If you happen to bring your own water bottle to the parks, if you go to any quick service locations, you're able to get that water bottle filled for you. They'll give you cups of water to pour in there. Or if you don't have a water bottle, that's A-okay as well. Just ask them for a free ice cold cup of water, and they will give it to you. Now we're going to hang out right here, let our friends in front of us gather their guests, and they'll be on our way as well. So just hang tight for a couple more minutes, and then you'll be on your way.